যেতে নাহি দিব তবু যেতে দিতে হয় তবু চলে যায়. For almost a month now, the whole country, the United Kingdom, has been rooting and praying for the safe return home of Nicola Bully. But that was not to be. And this 1 month will last as long as 1,000,000 years. So much goodwill and good wishes has been sent to Nicola by so many millions. This is in the context of the earthquake that has again hit parts of Turkey on Monday. These are the events that bring out much needed compassion, solidarity, generosity, and humanity from human beings, as contrast to the wanton war-making, mass murders, and massacres caused by the likes of the warmongering evil ones that have coexisted and do coexist. The news that on Monday, the 20th of February 2023, the apparently doddering Joe Biden achieved his own coup. There is a draw. Something about Ukraine is operating as a draw. What is it? It cannot be the corrupt Zelensky or whatever his name is. So something else is drawing these individuals to the cause of massacre and mass murders and war. What is it? Of course, as the saying goes, time will tell. But something is not right about this whole thing, because the United Nations, which was apparently founded, well, it was founded not just apparently, but it was actually founded. What was the United Nations founded for? Let's remind ourselves. The Charter, it reads, the Charter of the United Nations is the founding document of the United Nations. It was signed on the 26th of June 1945 in San Francisco at the conclusion of the United Nations Conference on International Organization, and came into force on the 24th of October 1945. So this is the website, www.un.org. UN.org, English. About us, that's the United Nations website. And we shall be reading chunks from that declaration in this edition of the Khoodeelaar television channel, Baby Angel Geronimo editions, part A, timed at 23:05 hours GMT London, within quotes UK, Monday 20th of February 2023. Baby Angel Geronimo is the world's bestest baby angel Geronimo. And in our estimate, in our understanding and observation, in our view, the baby angel Geronimo is the bestest baby angel Geronimo in the world, with the bestest record and capacity, ability, dedication, focus on observing the truth about the evilness being done in the name of the United States, United Kingdom, and other big states in the world. The United Kingdom is where the baby angel Geronimo is based, having been invited by a woman, his second human mum, living in South Gloucestershire in England. Baby angel Geronimo was raised by his loving human mum, Leonie Walker, in New Zealand. And baby angel Geronimo became the world's bestest, most beloved baby angel Geronimo because of the stand he has taken and because of the innocence that he personifies and the purity of his life. Baby angel Geronimo is one of the world's most cherished creations. It is said in the Holy Quran that 18,000 different types of creations have been created by God. And the creation is correlated to the purpose that human beings whom God created against the preference of Satan, as the debate is recorded in the Surah Al-Isra, that 18,000 creations have been created by God as a blessing for human beings, member of the 18,000 creations that can represent the blessings. It would be baby angel Geronimo, on the evidence of his blessing, who would represent those blessings. And baby angel Geronimo is the barometer. Copy of the poem by the poet Rabindranath Tagore, যেতে নাহি দিব, যেতে নাহি দিব তবু যেতে দিতে হয়, তবু চলে যায়. We shall look at the poem. And we shall then go to check the United Nations founding declarations. যেতে নাহি দিব তবু যেতে দিতে হয় তবু চলে যায়. What kind of profound wisdom was at work when Tagore wrote those words? যেতে নাহি দিব তবু যেতে দিতে হয় তবু চলে যায়. Such universality, such total universality that defies, that transcends linguistic barriers. Transcends linguistic barriers. যেতে নাহি দিব তবু যেতে দিতে হয় তবু চলে যায়. I'm writing in the most delicate way, intricate way. It cannot be shown on the camera, but it is very difficult. যেতে নাহি So it's not যেতে. Let's try again. যেতে নাহি দিব যেতে নাহি Let's see, it's a delicate way of searching for Tagore's original composition, if it can be found online. It should be on theory, in theory, be found online. Let's see yours. Well, this is যেতে নাহি দিব. It's contained in the collection, Tagore's collection called Sonar Tori. The sonar means of gold, and Tori is, of course, boat. And this is 1893. So 1893 to 1993 and 30 years, 130 years ago. And it reads, Jete nahi dibo. Duare prastut gadi bela di prahor. That's, of course, in the environment of Bengal, where he was writing in India. Duare prastut gadi bela di prahor. হেমন্তের রৌদ্রক্রমে হতেছে প্রখর, জনশূন্য পল্লীপথে ধুলি উড়ে যায়, মধ্যাহ্ন বাতাসে স্নিগ্ধ অসতের ছায়, ক্লান্ত বৃদ্ধা ভিখারিণী জীর্ণ বস্ত্রপাতি ঘুমায় পড়েছে যেন রুদ্রমহিবাতি, ঝাঁ ঝাঁ করে চারিদিকে নিস্তব্ধ নিঝুম, শুধু মোর গড়ে নাহি বিশ্রামের ঘুম। গিয়েছে আশ্বিন পূজার ছুটির শেষে, দ্যাট ইজ ইন দ্য হিন্দু মিথোলজি, ফিরে যেতে হবে আজি বহু দূরে দূরদেশে, সেই কর্মস্থানে ভৃত্যগণ ব্যস্ত হয়ে বাঁধিছে জিনিসপত্র দৌড়াদৌড়ি লয়ে, হাঁকাহাঁকি ডাকাডাকি এগোরে ওগোরে, গোরের গৃহিণী চক্ষু ছলছল করে, ব্যথিছে বক্ষের কাছে পাষাণের ভার, তবুও সময় তার নাহিকা দিবার একদণ্ড তরে, বিদায়ের আয়োজনে ব্যস্ত হয়ে ফিরে যথেষ্ট না হয় মনে, যত বাড়ে বুঝা আমি বলি একই কাণ্ড, এত ঘট এত পট, হাড়ি সরা বাণ্ড, বোতল বিছানা বাক্স রাজ্যের বুঝাই, কি করিব লয়ে কিছু এর রেখে যাই, কিছু লই সাথে। So this is the kind of beginning of the event as the narrator, as the poet, is preparing to leave home for abroad. The puts to sum up the expression of humanity is so profound and so simple. This poem that is way, way, way and university sees the impact of the feelings going through the baby Geronimo. Baby angel Geronimo is the world's bestest, the most innocent baby angel Geronimo. And a poem like this one, যেতে নাহি দিব তবু যেতে দিতে হয় তবু চলে যায় চলিতেছে এমনি অনাদিকাল হতে প্রলয় সমুদ্রবাহী সৃজনের স্রোতে প্রসারিত ব্যাঘ্রবাহ জ্বলন্ত আঁখিতে দিব না যেতে ডাকিতে ডাকিতে হু করে তীব্র বেগে চলে যায় সবে পূর্ণ করি বিশ্বতট অন্তকলরবে আর্তকলরবে সম্মুখে উর্মিরে ডাকে পশ্চাতের ঢেউ দিব না যেতে নাহি শুনে কেউ নাহি কোনো সাড়া চারিদিক হতে আজি অবিশ্রাম কর্ণে মোর উঠিতেছে বাজি সেই বিশ্ব মর্মবেদী করুণ ক্রন্দন মোর কন্যা কণ্ঠস্বরে শিশুর মতন বিশ্বের অবুধ বাণী চিরকাল ধরে যাহা পায় তাই সে হারায় তবু তোরে শিথিল হল না মুষ্টি তবি অবিরত সেই চারি বৎসরের কন্যাটির মতো feelings has been rooting for Nicola. That Nicola it is. That poem by Tagore, I Won't Let You Go, spoken by a 4-year-old. I won't let you go. Sums up the 4 years of lengthy, endless, consistent representation of the truth by baby angel Geronimo against the congenital liars personified by the evilness Boris Johnson, personified by the evilness George Injustice Eustace, personified by the evilness Christine Evilness Middle Miss. That baby angel Geronimo is innocent, and the baby angel Geronimo's innocence is beyond the evilness, the capacity of the evilness, the capacity of the depravity, the cruelty of the likes of Boris Johnson. To stop, to question, to doubt. So true and truly universal has the baby angel Geronimo's evidence been and is and remains and shall continue to be. That the evilness, Boris Johnson, the evilness, Christine Middle Miss, and the evilness, George Injustice Eustace, and the rest of the condemned, condemnable, contemptible, the slightest bit of their lies that baby angel Geronimo has unwell, other in the cell. That is the feeling. Jete nahi dibo. I shall not let you go. Breaking my heart. Because if you go, you break my heart. The baby angel Geronimo has been asking for years for the truth to be recognized just for once. And the evilness at DEFRA, the evilness called Boris Johnson, the dogmas, those evil ones, Christian evilness, Middle Miss, they have not had the courage, one fraction of a billionth of courage necessary to take up the challenge that baby angel Geronimo has put on the table for the entirety of the period since he arrived in England from New Zealand, the place of his birth. So when the alleged visit took place by the police of Nicola's home, what was the conversation about? Clearly, it was about Nicola's health and well being. How was it that Nicola was left alone without being urgently helped with all the necessary help that she needed and help that should and could have been provided? This actually contextually brings to the fore several recent cases of mental health people, the police, the local council, social services neglecting vital duties, including the case of London Borough of Newham Council failing, neglecting there is a frequent interruption to the internet connection here on this broadcast. There have been any number of interruptions, disconnections. So when the broadcast is completed, if you like, or ended, it remains to be seen to what extent the interruptions have interfered with the actual contents of what I'm saying. So one of the most common features of the behavior of the relevant local council and the local mental health, social services, and the police has been the awareness of the vulnerable person being vulnerable and in desperate need for help. Followed by the lack of action by those agencies, followed by the discovery, in each case, of the vulnerable person in desperate need of desperate, urgent help being found to have died. So Nicola Bully is the latest one, although the difference between her and Laura and Lillian John Baptiste is in the fact that Nicola has been in the focus and the attention of the world, if you like, in terms of sending her wishes, best wishes, and wishing her well for the period of about 3 weeks. Well, for 3 years plus, Laura in Woking in Surrey, and Lillian John Baptiste in Newham in East London, lay dead for 3 years. Whatever the length of the difference, the fact is that the caring services in England have died. That's the lesson, that's the message, that's the evidence. It is our belief that Nicola will remain alive in the minds and hearts of people for a very long time. Nicola, from a different dimension, joins Sarah Everard, Sabina, Nisa, and others who have been let down, but who will not be forgotten. Zara Alina, Sarah Everard, Sabina Nisa, Nicola. The roll call of the women betrayed and let down, neglected, misrepresented by the agencies in the United Kingdom. The roll call is long, but the length of the roll call cannot stop the power of the demand that is now being represented by Nicola, demanding answers. Why was I neglected? Why was I misrepresented, misinterpreted, construed? And this extrapolates. Nicola's demand extrapolates to cover all the others. Zara was murdered after being sexually assaulted. Now, whether she was actually raped, what the description so far accessible about her being sexually assaulted by her murderer is not quite clear as to what terrible things this evil one did to her. But one thing that is clear is that Zara's murderer should never have been allowed out. And the fact that he was allowed out and was so free that he could pick on Zara so near her home without anyone noticing. What about the so-called probation service involved in the certification of any order any statement that Zara's murderer was safe. And what is the meaning of the community? What is the evidence that the community exists insofar as the safeguarding duties owed to the vulnerable people by the local council concerned is recognized even by the council themselves? Why is Roxana Fiaz silent about Lillian John Baptiste? And why are the newspapers, Fleet Street newspapers, media, not exploring, examining, probing, investigating the 95% of the failures, 95% of the duties owed to Nicola, to Zara, to Sarah, to Laura, and to others too numerous to name even in an hour? Where is the evidence that the so-called democratic opposition in the UK Parliament has even heard of these absolutely clearly identified and clearly in desperate need for help individuals? Nicola, Zara, Sabina. What did the South London Council do to ensure that Sabina Nessa could safely walk the few minutes from her home to the restaurant or the pub, wherever she was going, to meet her contract? Where is the evidence that any of these councils ever, not just under the focus of the news, emergency news based on the events concerned involving Nicola, Zara, Sabina, Sarah, Laura, Lillian? What has been the ordinary attitude of the councils towards these women? Surely the attitude has been similar to the attitude of disrespect, the attitude of blaming instead of protecting, that has been displayed, exhibited by the Lancashire Constabulary towards Nicola. When did the police, Lancashire police, find any scientific, logical, moral ground to justify focusing on alleged failures and omissions by Nicola herself? So all of these are questions. And as the Sun even admits on page 2, no words, just agony. No words, just agony. How is it Lily and John Baptist, and others in any way comparable to the sickness and hatred that the individual has continued to exhibit after the departure from the home office of hatred of ugly Patel. What does Braverman become if she competes with the ugly record of hatred against the vulnerable that was personified by ugly Patel? Where is the humanity in the opposition so-called briefs? Well, the answer is that there cannot be any humanity in the opposition briefs on these issues when the so-called leader of the opposition is the political murderer of the values for society which are now abandoned, for establishing which the Labour Party was established in the first place. So, what is the United Nations Charter saying? The Charter of the United Nations is the founding document of the United Nations. It was signed on 26th of June 1945 in San Francisco, which is in the USA, at the conclusion of the United Nations Conference on International Organization. And this charter came into force on the 24th of October, that same year, 1945. The United Nations can take action on a wide variety of issues due to its unique international character and the powers vested in the Charter, which is considered an international treaty. As such, the UN Charter is an instrument of international law, and the UN member states are bound by that Charter. The UN Charter codifies the major principles of international relations, from sovereign equality of states to the prohibition of the use of force in international relations. Since the United Nations founding in 1945, the mission and work of the organization have been guided by the purposes and principles contained in its founding charter, which has been amended three times in 1963, 1965, and 1973. The International Court of Justice, the principal judicial organ of the United Nations, functions in accordance with the statute of the International Court of Justice, which is annexed to the UN Charter and forms an integral part of it. The Dag Hammarskjöld Library collection of translations of the UN Charter and contains this, and they find the full text of the UN Charter or read about the history of its making. Listen to a reading of the preamble. Now, before going any further into the United Nations Charter, I found how is it It's not close to collapse. It has collapsed. And the first paragraph in Jenny Russell's column reads the like so many phenomena, trust in the you live erodes first slowly and then suddenly. A belief in shared social norms, in justice, in decency, in the faith that responsibility will be rewarded and social selfishness or criminality tracked and stopped is essential for any peaceful, stable country. If those things cease to hold, then any space, real or virtual, is open for domination by the aggressive, the delinquent, and the lawless. Now, this is, of course, a person who is thinking about 100 years ago. She's not thinking today. Because if she is thinking today, if she were thinking today, she would not have written that. She would have said that all these have collapsed. Her last, well, the penultimate paragraph, that is the one before the last one, I mean, is really lazy and backward. Human beings respond to incentives. A government that fails to police streets and homes or enforce desirable behavior is handing power to the rapacious, the exploitative, and the criminal. It undermines decent businesses that cannot afford to maintain standards their competitors don't bother to meet. It increases environmental destruction as everyone acts in their own short term interest. It makes people who keep the rules feel fools when they see others profiting from breaking them and encourages them to follow suit. It is the exact opposite of Sunak's pledge to the country that if you work hard and play by the rules, you should be rewarded. It is a betrayal that voters will punish. Now, of course, Jenny Russell is writing as if on order. She should not be talking about voters at all, because what that means is that if the voters vote in a majority that is like the majority of the Conservatives in the House of Commons currently, since the so called election of December 2019, then that's it. She doesn't go beyond that. Whereas the fact is that this kind of electoral politics are dead in terms of saving and protecting people. On the headline or the heading, voters will punish this failure to protect us, should be rewritten, saying that protection is abandoned to appeasing the voters. So the protection should be the priority, and that can only be guaranteed by accountability, transparency, which are absent. And she doesn't talk about the judiciary, really, because there is nothing in the judicial so-called system that comes into play when the government agencies manifestly commit crimes, such as the three judges that behaved as rubber stamps for the corrupt evilness of DEFRA, extending and progressing and giving the appearance of legitimacy to the agenda that the DEFRA morons and evil ones and the cruel ones had been confecting against the most innocent baby angel Geronimo. I mean, Jenny Russell, of course, is a long-running professional columnist, writer, journalist. And I think what she is doing in this piece, by being cagey and timid and in denial of the truth that she knows exists, but which she doesn't acknowledge on the record in this piece, not exposing the opportunism and evilness of those who she correctly brands collectively as failing to protect us. Who are the us? The 99% of the people that are betrayed by the state agencies locally, regionally, centrally, have no recourse to the judicial platforms. They haven't got the money, they haven't got the means, and the judicial platforms are manned and womaned by those licensed law traders who are themselves mentally servile and willingly participating as stooges and rubber stamps for the state, local state, central state, and the government. And the House of Commons, which is the so-called democratic platform of the Westminster Parliament, doesn't have even 1% of MPs prepared to tell the truth what is going on. And the media is as timid as Jenny Russell is. The BBC, the ITV, the Sky News, the Channel 4, all of them are complicit with the criminals making the decisions at various stages of the state, local, central, regional. And the United Nations, although the founding charter, United Nations Charter, is available online and anywhere else, the United Nations has got a killer of the charter in post as the Secretary General, who is not condemning Biden, he's not condemning Sunak, he's not condemning anyone else who is being attracted to the warmongering den that is occupied by Zelensky, the criminal. So we shall come to an end at 1 hour, 20 minutes of this broadcast. I don't know how much of this has been interrupted and kind of disconnected during the breaks. And we shall continue